Thank you so much. Thank you. And be sure and say hello to the Salvation Army Santa on the way out. He answers to Geraldo. Happy Tuesday, everyone. According to a new poll, nearly 70% of Minnesotans say Governor Walz needs to do more to stop fraud. In response, he is now requiring men to show 2 forms of ID when buying tampons. Kamala Harris is reportedly preparing for a 2028 presidential campaign, despite donors and party leaders' concerns. But like her husband with a nanny, she refuses to pull out. Wow. Earlier today, in fact, she was seen putting a down payment on a campaign bus. Nancy Pelosi says she still hasn't talked to Joe Biden. Critics pounce, saying, how hard is it to order a Ouija board from Amazon? According to insiders, Joe Biden hasn't raised enough money for a legit presidential library, but he bragged if all goes well, they can afford a really kick-ass bookmobile. Interesting story. A family in Washington, D.C. says they've been getting dozens of Amazon packages intended for the nearby Arlo Hotel. The packages include cat food, vitamins, and a chainsaw, which answers the question, what's for lunch at the Arlo Hotel? It was worth it. President Trump just announced his plan to classify fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction. He then did the same thing for Jerry Nadler's ass. A new study claims that marijuana doesn't decrease pain or anxiety because participants in the study still couldn't get through 1 hour of Fox and Friends.
That is so wrong. That is so wrong.
Taylor Swift reportedly gave out bonuses totaling $197 million to everyone working on her tour. That is amazing. Who gives out bonuses? And finally, a woman's body was found inside a freezer at a dollar store. After being discovered, she was immediately put in the clearance section. All right, we're going to do a monologue. They didn't really love the jokes.
I think they did.
I wasn't asking you.
Oh, sorry.
So by now you've heard about Minnesota's Somali theft rings. Somehow a third world country hijacked the state without having to kidnap Tom Hanks. And these Somali pirates claim more booty than a meeting of the J-Lo fan club.
The monologue opens with non-stop political jabs. Minnesota's governor is accused of failing to stop massive fraud, yet somehow focusing on ID requirements for tampons. Kamala Harris is mocked for pushing ahead with a 2028 presidential run despite donor panic. Nancy Pelosi hasn't spoken to Joe Biden, triggering jokes about Ouija boards and ghost leadership. Even Biden's presidential library gets downgraded, from library to bookmobile. The tone is clear. National leadership has become a punchline.
Millions of taxpayer dollars meant for meal plans were stolen, some of which were funneled to the terror group Al-Shabaab. Although having seen Somali cuisine, maybe it's better they didn't spend it on food. It's one of the largest scams in U.S. history. But for years, Tim Walz ignored it in favor of supplying feminine hygiene products to students named Steve. Now he's issuing blame, but not to the fraudsters. It's Whitey's fault.
Do you want to hear more from members of leaders from the Somali community to say, we need to look at ourselves, we need to hold our own neighbors accountable?
Look, it's not law-abiding citizens. If that were the case, there's a lot of white men should be holding a lot of white men accountable for the crimes that they have committed. For every crime, which of course the majority being committed by white men, asking us to do more about that. I think it's crime in general.
No wonder that Minnesota State Burn is the loon. He suggests that white men don't hold other white men accountable. Well, he's right about one white guy, him. Under this fool, the whole state's become messier than a pair of Joe Biden's tidy whities after eating bad sushi. What a tool bag. Turns out Minnesota's AG, Keith Ellison, took donations from people later convicted in this fraud scheme. His son, a Minneapolis city councilman, got paid to do Harvard on a fellowship while
The jokes keep coming. Amazon accidentally delivers cat food, vitamins, and a chainsaw to the wrong house. Apparently room service for a hotel. Trump announces fentanyl as a weapon of mass distraction. A study claims marijuana doesn't reduce anxiety because people still can't survive 1 hour of Fox and Friends. Taylor Swift hands out $197 million in bonuses, shocking everyone who's ever worked a normal job. The humor is dark, fast, and relentless.
pulling a six-figure paycheck from the city and even asked taxpayers to cover his flights while missing half the city council meetings. Then, of course, there's Ilhan Omar, whose district was the epicenter of Somali fraud. Gee, I wonder if there's any connection between the first Somali in U.S. history to serve in Congress and the billions in fraud in her district, which is mainly made up of Somalis. So what's her story? She landed in the U.S. after fleeing civil war in Somalia. She says her dad was an educator, but he was also a colonel in the Somalian army under a dictator who committed war crimes. So yeah, she escaped the problem that her family helped create. That's like a flasher who comes here to escape frostbite. And the Washington Beacon, Free Beacon, reports that, yeah, she really did marry her brother, possibly to skirt immigration laws and get her brother into the U.S. No wonder they served the wedding food family style. They tracked online marriage info to prove it, but when the Beacon reached out to her team, they were called bigots for even asking. Because for Dems like her, they rely on the ruse that accountability is racist. Every audit is a human rights violation, and every Wednesday is ladies' night. But you got to ask, how come no Democrats are defending her? That's the dog.
Then the tone shifts. Minnesota's massive Somali-linked fraud scandal takes center stage. Millions in taxpayer dollars meant for children's meals were stolen in what's described as one of the largest fraud schemes in U.S. history. For years, leadership ignored it. When the scandal finally surfaced, blame didn't land on the criminals. It was redirected elsewhere. Accountability, we're told, suddenly became controversial.
Dog not barking. No one's saying, hey, Ilhan Omar didn't marry her brother. I mean, if someone had said that about me, I'm pretty sure people would speak out on my behalf. At the very least, my brother. But you don't hear anything from the Dems about her, not even a request for proof of bunk beds. No. And they'll defend anything, including Sergeant a lot. So the question is why? What happened to Minnesota? It's a modest state full of hardworking people who love casseroles, Land O'Lakes butter, and women who throw their hat in the air. Oh, Mary. They didn't ask for a government that treats their tax money like baby oil at a Diddy party. So how did Minnesota become so corrupt? Well, here's the blueprint. They insulated protected communities that vote overwhelmingly Democrat, like the Somalis. And without oversight, the buffer enables all this corruption. Minnesota wasn't some tragic accident. It's a scandal unfolding in plain sight. And until the state holds everyone accountable, including their leaders, Minnesotans will still be the land of 10,000 lakes, but the taxpayers will be the ones getting soaked.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.
Governor Tim Walz is accused of deflecting responsibility. The Attorney General allegedly accepted donations tied to convicted fraudsters. His son collected a six-figure salary while missing city council meetings. And Ilhan Omar's district, ground zero for the fraud, raises uncomfortable questions that Democrats refuse to answer. The monologue ends with a hard conclusion: Minnesota's corruption wasn't accidental. It was protected, insulated, and allowed to grow, all in plain sight.